Hi, everybody. My name is Sabrina Santa Clara, and I am an IFS
Mhm.
therapist and consultant, amongst other things. But my role here today is more as an IFS therapist and consultant. And I am here with Kevin Fitzpatrick, and
Mhm.
Kevin's specialty is authentic relating. He's also dabbled in IFS, just as I have dabbled in authentic relating. So we are excited to bring the integration of these two models together because both of them, there's some similarities in how both of them work. For example, both are um, present moment focused, both of them are somatically oriented and focused, etc. Um, and we'll get into that in one of the trainings that we're offering. But they can also bring out things in each other. So in IFS, it's more of an internal focused model, um, while there are ways that we talk about relating with other people, that's not really the main focus. The main focus is self-to-part relationship. Um, although we do talk about relating with each other. In authentic relating, there is more focus on that dynamic between people. And yet there's also a focus on the internal experience as well. So we find that weaving these two together is a really dynamic it's a really dynamic system. It's also particularly helpful when running groups to begin to create kind of intimacy and safety. It is one system, so authentic relating is one of the systems that I use when I'm doing psychedelic groups, so that I can help to create that kind of intimacy and trust in the relationship before any medicines or journeys are done. Um, so that's my sort of quick down low. Kevin, do you have anything to add to that that feels
Uh,
germane?
yeah, what I would add is that part of the beauty, excuse me, of IFS is this self to parts relationship they named. And then it's almost as though we're taking the connection to self that's gained through that and bringing it into connection with other people. And so that's really the beauty. One of the nuggets of beauty with authentic relating is really having that connection to self and bringing it into connection with other, and then being in this mutual state of connection and empathy while
Right,
also staying connected to
right.
all of these parts of ourselves, this parts to self relationship.
There's this juiciness about with IFS. We're really working towards this authentic relationship with self and parts, right? And
Yeah.
the juiciness of authentic relating is then we're taking that authenticity, right, and really bringing that towards the relationship. So
Mhm.
Kevin and I are gonna just do a little practice, and this is a practice where there is a question in the space, and typically one person speaks first, the other person sort of listens and receives while also attending to what's happening in their own system. So I'll speak for 3 minutes. Kevin will speak for 2 minutes, and in that he will provide some information about what's happening in his system and how he was impacted by what I said. And then I'll speak for a minute and sort of name how I was impacted by his revealing how he was impacted. And typically we do this in both directions. For the point of this, we're just going to do one because nobody wants to be watching videos forever and online, and we all have way too much media. um, and so the question that we decided to use for this one is actually, Kevin, I'm going to let you ask that question of
Yeah.
me. Well,
If you really knew me, you would know.
all right. So that's the question I'm answering. Let's see. If you really knew me, you would know my superpower is love. Like I have a huge capacity to love and a huge capacity to hold. Um, if you really knew me, you would know that while I am white presenting, um, that is not my orientation to the world. So I grew up as a white minority in a border town. And I actually, when I'm in all white spaces, feel a little uncomfortable. Um, I am much more comfortable around mixed community. Um, and so that is always a sort of kind of push and pull of how I am received in the world and actually how I feel myself to be on the inside. Um, yeah, that's a really big component for me. I often, even in my marketing stuff, when I'm doing bios, will often say that I feel like I live in the in-between spaces. And I think that is part of part of how I grew up in this mixed culture. It's part of growing up bisexual and also really identifying as being gender fluid. So there is a part of me that doesn't really feel like there is a full place for me in this world. I mean, I know there is at the intellectual level, and certainly my community does this. Um, but this way that I live in the both and um, feels a little it feels a little like I'm an outlier, um, and that there are not a lot of people that I meet that really get this in between place that I live in. I think other people who are gender fluid or transgender or people who are culturally mixed tend to get it. Um, so yeah, that's a really big component of how I live and operate and orient to the world. All right. That's my 3 minutes. So, all right, I'm gonna go and
Yeah.
start the timer for you, Kevin.
Thank you for sharing with me.
Mhm.
And it's okay if I share some impact and reflection here. Yeah.
Please do, yeah.
So, yeah, first hearing the capacity for love that you live with, it really felt a lot of warmth in my body and hearing that. Um, yeah, parts of me that have gotten to witness that in you over time. Just, yeah, feeling them expansive and hearing it. And then, yeah, I noticed as you went into your share of kind of feeling like you live in between um, all these categories. I noticed, particularly, you said a word, feeling like an outlier. Um, I noticed a feeling of sadness, part of me that felt sad for that. And yeah, I could almost feel the like almost hunched over like that. Um, and just feeling the contrast of those things of like love and ability to just hold so much for community and then also feeling in between, and feeling like on the edge, with the outlier thing. Yeah, there's a sense of loneliness there as well. Uh, so part of me is acknowledging that, that must feel lonely at times. And yeah, yeah. So just such a range here, that really with that sense of contrast between those two threads that you shared.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All
feeling a
right.
lot of appreciation for you and holding that contrast. Mhm.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm gonna go ahead and speak now. Um, even before you said that you felt some sadness, I felt this wateriness behind my eyes. I I don't relate to the sort of hunched sort of sense because I feel like part of my thing is is, I will not be ashamed. I will not make myself smaller. But there is a sense of tenderness around um, how that aspect of me isn't seen,
Mm,
um, or recognized, except by other people like me. Right?
mm,
And
mhm,
so there is definitely a part of me that longs to be seen in that fullness, right?
yeah.
Not just from, general public, but like really even in sort of dating situations, it's been challenging because, you know, if I'm dating somebody that is just super masculine, only my feminine gets to live.
Mm,
Right? And I want to live into all of me. Right?
mhm,
And so there is a recognition of a loss or something that hasn't been lived into.
mhm, mm.
And I'm just going to take a moment to transition from this revelation space into educator space, which is always a little odd. So, this is what we're doing is we're learning how to be real with each other, how to be seen, how to be witnessed, how to really engage with our parts and to speak for our parts and to have those parts be received. So, if this looks interesting to you at all, please come join us for some of the free workshops that are coming up in May, or for the day-long training that we'll be doing. All right. Much love to all y'all, and hope to see
Mm.
you soon. Bye bye.